Good morning, Spiritual Life Center. Welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience. We're so glad that you're with us today. We want you to know your soul is welcome here, and we're going to sing about it.
That's right. You're in the right place at the right time, just where you're meant to be, whether you're live streaming or here in person. Let's sing about it. Here we go.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. In the right place. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
My soul is welcome.
My soul is welcome. Your soul is welcome.
Your soul is welcome.
My soul is
All souls are welcome here.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. Oh, my soul is welcome. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome.
I'm getting the message.
I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 My soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome.
All righty. High energy here this morning. Our souls are welcome here. Good morning, Reverend Deborah. Your soul is welcome here.
And good morning, Reverend James and everyone else. And we greet you this morning in the name of all that is good, all that is holy, and all that is sacred, and the warm and loving energy of this community, Spiritual Life Center. Spiritual Life Center honors all people worshiping in temples, mosques, churches, stone circles, and the beautiful temples of natures, because there is no space that God does not grace. And if this is your very first time with us, either here in the sanctuary or watching us online, we especially want to welcome you because we know that you are not here by accident. Every single one of us is here by
Divine appointment.
And we're very excited, of course, to be able to be together in person and online. And we also get really excited when you silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. And we are even more pleased if you're wearing your mask according to guidelines.
Well, let's take a moment as we connect to that sacred place. And we start with this idea that's fundamental to what we believe, that as within, so without. So what we see in the outside world, in our individual and collective lives, is a direct outpicturing of what is taking place within us, within our own awareness, our own consciousness. And so we seek to only have that consciousness that represents the love and the peace, the possibilities of the human spirit, in which we see ourselves and others from the highest point of view. in which we do not necessarily see problems or difficulties, but divine solutions. Because behind every seeming challenge that we see, there's a divine idea waiting to be expressed. And so as we flood and inundate our consciousness with positive words, positive visions, positive ways of being, we begin to radiate from within us out to the rest of the world all the qualities that are good and perfect, including love and peace and joy and wisdom and health and vitality, and creativity and the possibilities that dwell within us. So we go forward doing our part, reminding ourselves that we can always change our minds when we're going down the rabbit hole of any negativity and see what is behind that that's waiting to be expressed and birthed through us. So we gratefully go forth doing our part to anchor a little bit more of good on our life and in our world. Amen. We seek to carry out our purpose here at Unity through our mission. I invite you to join in as we affirm the following: to transform lives as we love, serve, and remember. And we do that as we take the 5 basic unity principles that underlie the foundation of what we believe and implement them to the best of our ability. And what they are: God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God. We must take action. And we're going to take some action by acknowledging any of the birthdays in the month of September. If you're born in September, you rise. We'll give you a special
September
birthday song.
babies.
Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday.
I also want to thank Shirley Brown for the lovely altar flowers this morning. She always does such a wonderful job. This Wednesday at 7 p.m., the SLC Prayer Chaplains will host the annual Unity World Day of Prayer service. This is a time when we come together with our prayer chaplains as they affirm the theme this year, which is, and celebrate, all is well with my soul. What a great topic for this time of our lives. It's a time of music, prayer, and meditation. Our special music will be with Paula Mandella and Larry Shiflett. And be sure to add your prayer to our prayer tree out in the courtyard. You will also be able to add them on the night of the service as well, and then we will pray over them and send them to Silent Unity. If you are watching us online, you can submit a prayer through our website, and that will be added to the other prayers. So we will see you on Wednesday at 7 o'clock.
And we invite you to add to your calendar the next co-creative town hall that's going to take place on Sunday, September the 19th from 1 to 2 p.m. And it'll be on site as well as online via Zoom. And our town halls are facilitated by the Evolutionary Council, and their role is to listen and report your thoughts and ideas and report them to our board of trustees and staff so we can take that to fruition, to other things that we can do for our community. And we'll also get an update on what impact your voice has had from our July town hall. And then we're going to have a 20-minute open forum so you can share additional ideas and suggestions and give feedback for our community. As always, we will affirm your priorities and make it something that's important for us. And if you have any questions, you can email the Evolutionary Council at their email address, ecouncil@slcworld.org, or you can visit Evolutionary Council table that's in the courtyard right after our service. So everyone is welcome, just to remind you of that.
How many people? How many? I'm so excited about Faith in Action, I can't even remember my microphone. How many people have participated in Faith in Action in the past? Well, registration is open for participants now, and we have, altogether we have 13 groups. 3 of them are already filled, but we've got 10 open. One of them is Zoom only, 2 of them are hybrid, the rest are in person, so you have lots of choices. So you can go out to the table out in the courtyard and sign up that way. You can also sign up online, and we're very excited about doing the Voice of Knowledge by Don Miguel Ruiz this year. I think it's going to be a really healing experience, considering to help us recover from the past few fun months. So you can sign up online or out in the courtyard.
As you know, our community supports other organizations that are doing good work here in the Sacramento area. And each month we have a recipient of our giving. And so we have our community giving program representative, Sally Sion, is going to share who our recipient for this month is. Welcome, Sally Sion, one member of our board of trustees.
Good morning, my dear friends. I'm a board member, and I've been involved in the community giving program. It was previously called the Tithing Committee for a bunch of years. Okay, it's hard to believe, I know, because I'm so young, but I started when I was 3. So I know a lot about a lot of community agencies in the community, and I'm so glad that our partner this month is 916 Inc. Now, what in the heck does that mean? I took some of the thunder away from our friend Allison here, who came from the organization, so I'm going to let her tell you about it today. But I want to let you know that next month, I think, maybe the month after, we're going to choose the community partners for the following year. Okay, so if you have an agency which you would like us to consider being a partner with SLC, please, online at our website, there is a nomination form. It's very brief. You don't have to know very much about the agency. You just know the name and maybe a little bit about what they do. Put in your nominations, because we want to involve you in helping to decide who we should contribute to. So please do that if you'd like to, and I want to invite Allison from 916 Inc. up here, and I want to give her a check, which was because of you. It's because of your donations to SLC that we are able to help our community partners here. Thank you.
Thank you. Holly, thank you so much for having me. This is such a beautiful congregation. So I'm with 916 Inc. We're a nonprofit in Sacramento, and what we do is, our mission's very simple. We empower youth through creative writing. And we do that by offering these incredibly fun, engaging 12-week writing workshops that are in schools all over the Sacramento area, all the way down to Stockton with the Department of Juvenile Justice down there. We're in there, so we work with incarcerated youth as well. And we've been around for about 10 years. This is our 10th anniversary year, actually, so happy birthday, us. Yes. And in that time, we've worked with just about 5,000 young people and published 200 anthologies of their writing. So a pretty big deal, yeah. But our entire reason for existing is to show kids the power of their voice. That yes, our workshops, yes, they improve literacy, they improve writing skills, their reading scores goes up, all these great things. But they come out believing that they have a story to tell and believing in themselves with higher self-esteem. And we have data to show this. We have pre and post tests and surveys, and they tell us this. They come out. I was telling Sally a minute ago about one of the young people from the Department of Juvenile Justice. We always ask at the end of our workshops to tell us what they leave here with. So they fill in the sentence, I leave here with. And he said, and he's a young man who's incarcerated, right? And he's 20, I think. And he said, I leave here with knowing that writing isn't just for dorks. And I died of laughter. But also, I mean, that's so powerful, right? That he now maybe thinks that he can read a book, that he can write a story, that he has a story to tell, and that means that if he falls in love with reading and writing, he's going to have a better life. So we know this to be true from the third graders we work with all the way up through the young men and women. So thank you for having us here today, for this generous donation, and for your support. And I'll be outside talking if you want to learn about volunteering and all the other fun. And I'll make a pitch as you're nominating other organizations. We work a lot with the Food Literacy Center, so check them out. They're doing kind of similar work to us, but around food literacy with kids. So it's pretty powerful. We love them a lot. So check them out. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Oh. Don't forget your check.
I want that.
Yes.
And remember, you can find out all the happenings at SLC by going out and looking at the bulletin board. And then when you find something that you want to do, if you need to sign up, you can hop on over to the hub and do that as well.
And let's see, we want to have any board members that are present and chaplains that are present. Would they please stand? We thank you for your service. And our board members are here. I see Allison and, oh no, that's Alan. I'm thinking about Allison in her program. I'm calling her name, but it's Sally and Claudia. Okay, get it. And Deborah. Yeah, so we have 3 board members. Kim. Oh my goodness. All right, we're just inundated with board members today, which is very good. They're doing some magnificent work for our community, and we appreciate their giving their time, their talent, their skills to help us move forward from where we are to where we can be. If you have any questions, they're available to answer your questions. Yes, I mentioned Deborah. They let me know. Don't forget Deborah. And we have our chaplains who are here to pray with you. And if you have something you'd like to have prayed for or over, they're here to pray with you here in the sanctuary or in the courtyard. And if you have something that you just want to celebrate, I'm sure they'll pray with you on that as well to even leverage the joy that you're experiencing in your life right now. So we thank them for their prayer consciousness.
And we love to greet our newcomers, and in a moment we will ask you to raise your hand. But first, we just want you to know there are many, many ways to become connected at SLC, and you can get more information about small groups, events, and classes by filling out the welcome card. Now, you can fill that welcome card out online, but if you're here in the sanctuary and you raise your hand, we will give you the welcome card. You can fill it out, take it to the welcome table out in the courtyard, and you will get a wonderful welcome and a very special gift.
So are there any first-timers here today? If you are, raise your hand. Any first-timers? No first-timers? So it looks like we all know one another. You've been here before. And as I said, if you're different today than you were yesterday, you're still new. So we appreciate your presence. And we invite you to just greet a friend, a neighbor, a stranger, and say, "You look marvelous." Your eyes do. I know that.
invite you to stay standing and join us in singing our group song, God is My Source. Take it away, John.
God is my source. Thank you very much. God is my power. It's really good to be here. God gives me everything I need.
Oh, I give thanks for my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Let's sing. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Joy. Joy is my source. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything. God is my source. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Are you ready? Let me hear you.
God is my power. God gives me everything I need.
I can't hear you.
So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything.
God gives me everything I need.
God is my power.
God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything. God gives me everything. God gives me everything. God gives me everything I need. Got a little carried away there.
Now something that'll really perk you up.
Right. Yes, I think our vision statement should perk us all up because this is something we state every week and we must believe it, right? Yes, we do. So let's speak it out loud together. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions, weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom. We cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet. And now we will settle into our meditation by chanting this beautiful chant.
Perhaps we can all just take a nice deep breath. Please join us in singing.
God is here, God is now, God is all. God is the life within my heart. So I see and I feel and I know all is perfect and right in my world. God is here, God is now, God is all. God is the life within my heart. So I see and I feel and I know all is perfect and right in my world. God is here, God is now, God is all. God is the life within my heart. So I see and I feel and I know all is perfect and all is perfect, all is perfect and right, all is perfect and right in my world.
God is here. God is now. God is all. take a deep breath, and as you exhale, allow yourself to melt into your seat. Drop your shoulders. And take another deep breath and just let it all go. Breathe naturally and allow your attention to move to the center of yourself, to the spot just to the right of your physical heart. And here you see just a pinpoint of light. It is so small that at first you're not even sure it's there. But as you breathe, with each breath, the light slowly grows into a small orb. And then it becomes a medium-sized ball. And then it expands until it nearly fills your chest, but it is still contained within. This light is your light. It gives you your life. Your light is very real, not something to imagine. It is your essence. It is who you really are, and it has always been within you. Yet there has been a sense of separation, and it is time for you and your light to become reacquainted. Introduce yourself to your own light. Here I am, you may say. I'd like to know you better. And now examine this light more closely. What does it look like? Can you touch it? What does it feel like inside your body? Can you hear it? Can you smell it? Does it have a taste or a flavor? Does your light interact with you or simply float inside your chest? And thank your light now for this opportunity for you to become closer. And shift your focus just a bit to zoom back out so that you can see how your chest is filled with your light. In the next breath or two, release that light. Allow it to expand to fill your entire body. And now it expands beyond you in every direction. To the left of you, to the right of you, in front of you, behind you, below you, above you. And then you watch as all of our lights begin to merge and fill this room. Our combined light expands beyond the building into the neighborhood, and then out into the city, and the state, and the country. And it continues to grow and flow until it encompasses the entire planet in a brilliant flow of love and compassion in the silence. you realize that light is all there is. Everything is light. Light is everything. It is always here, always supporting you, supporting the material world. And you feel gratitude for being a part of this divine activity. So take a deep breath and slowly exhale. And as you awaken to your body, receive this message. Oh, my beloved, you are a light unto the world. The world is a light unto you. It is all one. Thus, with each word, each thought, each breath, with everything that you are, you bring untold blessings unto this world. Remember this, always.
Even the sparrow has a place to lay its head. So why would I let worry steal my breath? Even the roses you have clothed in brilliant red, still I'm the one you love more than this. You give me everything. You give me everything. You give me everything I need. Even the oceans push and pull at your command, so you can steal my heart with your hand. You tell the seasons when it's time for them to turn, so I will trust you even when it hurts. You give me everything. You give me everything. You give me everything I need. You give me everything. You give me everything. You give me everything I need. When I can't see you, lead me. When I can't hear you, show me. When I can't stand, you carry me. When I'm lost, you will find me. When I'm weak, you are mighty. You give me everything, everything I need. You give me everything. You give me everything. You give me everything. You give me everything, everything. You give me everything, everything I need. You give me everything. You give me everything, everything I need. You give me everything. You give me everything. You give me everything.
she's not saying that just because she's the mother of one of the singers. It's magnificent. I know that I felt it deeply the second time after this morning. I heard it this morning, and as I was saying to the earlier service, and if you didn't feel anything, please turn to a friend or a neighbor and say, check my pulse. Check my pulse. I had mentioned that sometimes people ask me if I'm going to say any jokes on my talk. I said, well, I don't really know. I only say things that I think are funny to me, so I have a weird sense of humor, so I don't know if it'll be funny to you or not. I can't always give you everything, but I can give you what I can. And so this is a little story about a woman who had a pet duck, and the duck stopped breathing and took it to the animal doctor, the veterinarian, and he said, please, my duck, can you help me, my duck? And laid the duck up on the table. The doctor took out his stethoscope and, checked for the duck's heart and see if it had a pulse and said, I'm sorry, ma'am, it looks like your duck is dead. And he said, and the woman said, wait a minute, you hardly did anything. He could be in a coma or something like that. You can do some more tests, can't you? And the doctor looked at her, kind of rolled his eyes and shook his head. And then he kind of called, his assistant in the back. And his assistant was a beautiful Labrador retriever. And the Labrador came over and sniffed the duck up and down and shook his head. He went back, and then next thing you know, he called his other assistant, which was his cat. Cat came out. Cat came up and sniffed the duck up and down and blinked his eyes and said it's hopeless and went back, and he told the woman, yeah, it looks like I told you that your duck had died. And so he went on his computer and he wrote up his bill and handed the bill, and the bill was $500. And she said, $500? I mean, you hardly did anything. And the guy said, well, if you had listened to me the first time, I only would have charged you $50 to check the duck out. So now I have to charge you $500. And she said, well, for what? He said, because I had to do a lab report and I had to do a CAT scan. I know. As I was saying earlier, as I was thinking about, saying these things, that you'll remember that, as corny as it is, that, sometimes, like, as it was that candy that said, sometimes I feel like a nut, sometimes I don't, sometimes I feel like a nut when I come up with these things. So welcome to the Spiritual Life Center experience. Anyway, there were a number of students who had graduated from a prestigious business school, number 1 or number 2 in the country. And they had come back for their 15th year reunion. So after a decade and a half of being out there in the world, from one of the most prestigious schools that exists, one would think they were destined for greatness, and they were. They had a great deal of prosperity, and by objective standards, they had all the abundance you could possibly imagine. And people looking on the outside would think they had nothing but a euphorious life, because they looked at their success objectively and saw all the privileges that they had achieved over time. And they had reached this high level of success and achievement that many others just simply could only dream about. They were the financial elite, and they lacked nothing at all. But a number of them were unhappy. They didn't have any happiness in their life. They talked about a lot of things that happened to them, but some said they were comparing themselves to others who were doing better than they were. They had talked to each other about the promotions that they did not get. Some of them were sharing about their lack of connection with their children and their family members due to spending so much time on their work and their jobs. And one of the graduates who had was making over $1 million a year, but was very despondent because he said he endured the stress of working with people he could not stand. So despite the accumulation of the wealth, several of those alumni believed that they were wasting their lives. They believed that their life didn't have meaning. It didn't have any purpose for them. And that scenario, I believe, demonstrates that material acquisition alone does not equate to spiritual abundance, does not equate to spiritual prosperity. Now, bear in mind, I believe that everyone should be well off. There's nothing wrong with accumulation. There's nothing wrong with, getting rich if you want to do that, unless you make it the object of your life. Because we lead a lot of transformation in our world. There's a lot that we need to do, and many of them require money. We got the climate crisis going on. We got stresses on our democracy at home. We have divisiveness all over the place. And we need a new consciousness. And oftentimes, if you have this financial support, you can help that happen. But materiality or money alone is but one aspect of prosperity. And if we concentrate and on that alone, then we begin to close out other areas of good. And if we concentrate on one part and not the whole, we only get the part. But if we concentrate on the whole, we enjoy all of the parts as well. This month I'm looking at the idea or the theme of spiritual prosperity. And when we talk about spiritual prosperity, we're talking about a sense of wholeness. We're talking about a sense of dynamic well-being. We're talking about having a balanced life that allows for the presence and the power and the love of pure spirit to flow through us in a myriad of ways. And of course, it includes health, one of the most important aspects of wealth. If you don't have your health, you don't have any wealth. It includes vibration of enthusiasm. And yes, it includes money and circulation of money. It deals with having, the right work play in a form of co-creativity. It also includes right relationships and compelling right action and guidance. It includes all of that. That's what spiritual prosperity and abundance is all about. So the question, where does it come from? Where does it originate? There's something that we call spiritual substance, and I'm talking about today the truth about spiritual substance. The fact of the matter is, substance and all prosperity comes from substance, and it's everywhere. There was a story of 3 initiates who were, going into adulthood. And part of their initiation was to go and find the most valuable thing they could find in the world. So they went off on a journey, went on a hunt, and after several days, one of them came back, and what happened, he had, a bag full of diamonds. And he said, this is the most valuable commodity that there is in the world. And then the second one came back, and he had, all kinds of emeralds and rubies and all kinds of other jewels that he brought back and said, this is the most valuable commodity there is in the world. And the third one came back, and he had his fist balled up. And he went to his mentor, and he just opened up his hand. And there was absolutely nothing in it. And people were confused. What do you mean? You're supposed to bring back the most valuable thing that exists. And the young mentee said, it is the most valuable thing that exists. But you just can't see it. The most valuable thing that exists is an idea. Is an idea. He got the understanding that all prosperity comes from something that's invisible substance. The Latin root of the word substance actually means to stand under. It means that substance is standing under everything. The wealth of the universe is not material. It is intangible substance. It is real. It is behind everything that we see. It all begins with that idea. There was someone who had an idea that, so we could talk through lines and on devices and talk to anybody across the world. And, now we could do it wireless. An idea. Someone along the way said, I can tap into something and then a poem can come out. A song can come out. A story can come out. the Imaginariums. I think, was that the word? I keep forgetting the word that Allison from the 916 Inc. was talking about. They're tapping into that invisible something. And that invisible something we can't see, it can be converted, it can be transmuted, it can be changed in a million ways, but it can never be destroyed. It's infinite. And it flows and becomes the formation that is based upon what's happening in our consciousness and our conscious connection with this invisible, infinite substance. So we do not want to be a victim of a constricted outlook, not looking at life thinking that supply or substance is something that's visible, that's something that's material. If we do what we're doing, we're constricting the pipeline that this presence can bless us to and through. And we may end up saying something like one of those alumni said, that I learned to be rich, but I never learned to live. So the question, I think, for us, how do we open up the pipeline to receive more of God's overflowing good, more of this invisible substance? How do we claim it? Of course, claiming means to activate it. How can we become the great activators of this presence and this invisible something we call substance? Well, I'm going to read a Bible story. I read one a few weeks ago, and I said I know some people might go through conniption fits, but everybody worked out okay. They still alive. They were still alive. They're still alive. So, I'm going to read another one. I had an instructor in ministerial school that said, if you ever need any material, don't forget to look at, the stories in the Bible. Because, it's been used as a weapon against many people, and I don't want to hear anything from that. But I think one of the contributions of New Thought is our metaphysical interpretation of the stories and how they apply to us in our contemporary life. The meaning behind the words rather than the literal interpretation of them. And so this particular story comes from the Hebrew Bible, 2 Kings, the 4th chapter, the 1st through 7th verse. And it's the story about Elisha and the widow's oil. And it says that now the wife of a member of the company of prophets cried to Elisha, "Your servant, my husband, is dead. And you know that your servant feared God, feared the Lord," as it says here. "But a creditor has come to take my 2 children and enslave them." And Elisha said to her, "What shall I do for you? Tell me what you have in your house." And she answered, "Your servant has nothing in the house except a jar of oil." He said, "Go outside, borrow vessels from all your neighbors, empty your vessels and not just a few. Then go in and shut the door behind you and your children and start pouring into these vessels. When each is full, set it aside." So she left him and shut the door behind her. And behind her children, they kept bringing vessels to her, and she kept pouring. When the vessels were full, she said to her son, "Bring me another vessel." But he said to her, "There are no more." Then the oil stopped flowing. She came and told the man of God, Elisha, and he said, Go and sell the oil and pay your debts, and you and your children can live on the rest." I think that story tells us a lot about how to activate the spiritual substance that I'm talking about. A key beginning point is to catch the overflow of this substance. And this starts with a question. Because Elijah asked the widow, "What do you have in your house?" And metaphysically, house represents consciousness. What's in our consciousness? It's a dynamic principle that not only needs to be espoused, but needs to be practiced. And we need to ask, what do we have in our house? What do we have in our consciousness? And when we talk about consciousness, because it's a fundamental foundation of our teachings. It's the sum total of our thoughts. It's the sum total of our feelings. It's the sum total of our emotions. It is who we are. And depending on who we are determines what our life experiences will be. That's why it says in one of the scriptures, those that hath, more shall be given. And those that hath not, even what they have shall be taken away. And that statement is dealing with states and stages of consciousness. And individuals who are bubbling over and brimming over with the consciousness of affluence and beauty and love and generosity, who are bubbling over with infinite supply, shall always be getting more. And there'll be rich reservoirs of the inlets and the outlets for the good of spirit to be expressed through them. Yet those who have not, and those individuals who complain about everything, who are dealing with a consciousness of lack and limitation, they even begin to lose what they do have along the way. This is what we call the law of mind actions is operating, and it's not because of something that is coming from God or a curse from this presence. It is not a whimsical universe. It is something that is based upon law, spiritual law. So the quality of consciousness determines the quality of our life experiences in history. So in this particular story, I should say, the woman was asked, what do you have in your house? What do you have in your consciousness? And she revealed where she was coming from in her own consciousness. When she responded to that question, she said, I only have one pot of oil. So it revealed that she was in a consciousness of some limitation. You know, it's a common challenge that we often have with I call the onlyness syndrome. We'll hear people say, you know, I don't have much. I only have this little old job, this little bit of money. I only have this little old place. I only got this little old education, this little old experience. I don't have much. Now, if you're one of those people, you come to the right place. Because we're here to have a spiritual alarm clock, to wake us up with certainty. And if we turn to this ever-expanding good consciousness, we will become a blessing to this by receiving more and more of this invisible substance in so many different ways. But often individuals curse what they have, and they say it's not enough. It's too small. And they say, if I only had more, I would begin to live life. If I only had more, I really begin to give. If I only had more, I begin to do what I've meant to do on the planet. If I only had more time, more talent, more experience, more education. If I only had more, I don't have enough. So in many ways, they curse what they already have. And one of the statements said, man's curses surround him as his cloak. It diminishes what they have. It does not serve them because they are cursing it and limiting it. So what we want to do is look for what we have with a different light. We want to take what we have. We want to bless what we have. We want to give thanks for what we have. You know, there's a story about a man years ago who was hearing rumors about his job on his factory or that he was working from, the corporation that he was working at. And he said there was a lot of fear going around. And he went to his spiritual teacher, and everyone there was seeming to buy into the fear of the being downsized. And he asked the spiritual teacher, what do you think I can do about it? And that teacher, that guru figure said, the only thing you can do is go back to your work and bless and give thanks for what you do have. Bring your best. Realize that you're living and moving and having your being in some divine, unlimited substance, this divine supply, and make that your mindset. Say, give more of yourself than you normally do. And don't let others' fear or frets be part of your thought. And the man not only stayed on the job, but he was promoted to boot. He said he didn't entertain the thoughts of loss. He didn't entertain the thoughts of lack. He didn't entertain the onlyness syndrome. So he went back and he gave more than he was being compensated for at that moment. And the universe was put in his debt. And Ralph Waldo Emerson said something to the effect that when you put the universe in its debt, it has to balance the account. And not wanting to be staying in your debt will push you to another level of self-expression. You be more spiritual supply or more substance will be expressed through and as you. And it will happen either through the space expanding or you'll expand beyond your space. That's the spiritual law. So we don't want to get caught up in the onlyness mindset. We want to fully appreciate what we have and leverage that. And we will increase and unleash the quality that we have and begin to multiply and become more for us than we could have imagined. So that's one of the first things out of that lesson, that story. We need to bless and really appreciate what we have, because whatever we appreciate appreciates. It becomes more than we can imagine. But there's a second lesson in that story. There's several, but I only picked out two because I got limited time. When it talked about the widow and the oil, it's important to note that we're here to recognize that we have to activate this infinite substance, and the way that we do it is through expectation. You know, Elijah instructed the widow to go to her neighbors and borrow additional vessels. This is just a need to expand the mind, to include new faith, to include new vision, to try on new insights. So she did borrow the additional vessels, and that broadened her horizons of expectations. And she poured the oil from the pot to the new vessels, and it flowed until the last vessel was filled. And when there were no more vessels to be filled, the oil stopped. Now that last vessel represents the end of her expectation. And the substance or the supply, it stopped. In other words, she was able to receive only as much as she expected. And her expectation was based on the number of vessels that she collected in that story. Now, Elijah had set the process in motion by giving her instructions, but she determined how far it would go by her thought of expectancy. She might have hoped for more, but you only get what you expect. And if we want spiritual substance in any area of our life, no matter what it might be, we may wish for a lot, but we will only enjoy as much as we are able to expect. Whether it's money, whether it's health, whether it's relationships, or even happiness. That's why I say we don't get what we pray for. We get what we expect, and we need to ask ourselves deep down, what am I really expecting? Because we get what we really expect. So we have to examine ourselves closely. You know, if I were to sum up what spiritual substance and abundance is all about, in my view, it is this: everything and anything that we may be seeking, whether it's known, whether it's unknown, already exists. It's already been given. It already exists on the spiritual plane. As I was pointing out, there are those who have come up with these ideas that were already in the ethers, so to speak. They just had to be in that level of expectancy to get it. Because all of spiritual substance of this presence that we call God, that has ever been or ever has been now or ever will be, is already here. And it's unlimited. That's the mind we want to have. I always say that when we think we have an insolvable problem, I don't know if you've ever, there's no solution to this. We might want to say, there's always a solution. I always say that's a powerful affirmation. There's always a solution. We may not know off the top of our head what it is, but if we begin to make that our mindset, our mind will automatically go to an energy field where only solutions exist. Anyway, talking about unlimited substance, there was a young girl who was at home and had found all of this gold wrapping paper. It was expensive wrapping paper. And she was unraveling the paper and and her father saw her. He got upset with her because she was wasting this gold wrapping paper. And he said, that's only for gifts. He said, well, I'm wrapping a gift. And so she showed him a box that had the wrapping paper around it and handed the box to him. And he felt a little bit better now that maybe it was being put to good use. But he opened the box, and there was nothing in the box. So he got upset all over again. And he said, when you give somebody a gift, you got to give them something that they can see. It's got to be something in the box. And she said, there is something in the box. I've been blowing kisses in that box, and I filled that box up with kisses, and I handed that box to you. You know, she had a terminal illness, and she passed away, unfortunately, shortly after that. And the father said that anytime that he felt down, that anytime he felt that, you know, he couldn't go any further, he reached an obstacle he couldn't overcome, he would take out that gold-wrapped box, and it reminded him that it was filled with kisses from his daughter, and it activated something within him. But part of that story says that spiritual substance is everywhere. It's unlimited. It's invisible. And our task is to activate it, is to claim it. We are masters of this infinite substance if we choose to be. And if we choose to be, we'll allow the beauty and the affluence and all our needs to come and be met. Because there's nothing wrong with having all our needs met. There's nothing wrong with being strong. There's nothing wrong with our structures being powerful. There's nothing wrong with being beautiful. There's nothing wrong with shining the light. There's nothing wrong with having a world that works for everyone. With what we're going through now, there is a solution, and it comes from that invisible realm. Particularly when our motivation is in alignment with spirit, and we have a compelling purpose. You know, the woman in that story had a compelling purpose. It was her children. Take care of them, not have them taken away from her. And if we're not waiting for an external change to happen, then we can shine and connect with that presence. You know, if we're in alignment with a dream that has our name on it, whatever it is, or whatever stage of life we happen to be in, there's always more. I was writing the other day that, you know, you got to have a compelling vision for the future. Otherwise, you'll default by looking only to memories of the past. And you have a crooked neck when you do that. But a vision will pull us. It'll pull us into right activity. And we will begin to be masters of spiritual substance. We will see the solutions to the challenges or to what we need to do to achieve what we want to achieve. And we'll feel our way into what it feels like to have those needs met, those desires met. And we will see how the universe bends and shapes itself according to what we believe we need and what we expect to receive. And when those things happen, some will say it was miraculous for you. Some will say maybe you were lucky. Some will say you were born on the wrong side or the right side of the tracks. Some will say, you know, you just have to come under a lucky star. Some will say, who do you think you are? They think they're just made for God. That you know, but who cares what they think? We're here to shine. We're here to glorify that presence that dwells within us and around us at all times, so that we can say without hesitation, unabashedly, that those who have this consciousness, even more shall be given. And those who do not have, even what they have, maybe to have it taken away. So we look at spiritual substance as the invisible, omniactive presence that is the source of everything we could ever hope for, want, or desire. The solution is always there. Sometimes we have to lowly listen, and it will come to us when we're rightly motivated. And as we receive it, we realize we get it because it is God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, which is ever expanding good right here, right now. We deserve it because of who and what we are. So spiritual substance, the source of all abundance, it's everywhere. Our job is to claim it. Our job is to own it. And once we do, we master it in this moment. Peace and blessings to you. Well, next week I'm back again. Anyway. All right, I guess that's a good thing. Okay, it's a good thing? Okay, yes. I'll affirm that. Yes, I'm going to do the law of visualization, my take on it. And this is an opportunity now for those who may be online to support Spiritual Life Center in helping spread this message to so many who are receptive to receiving it, and to a point in time in history where it's so needed, I believe, for the transformation that we know that we're all in store for, and we can speed it up by making that part of our consciousness. And you can support Spiritual Life Center by texting SLC Love to 44321. That's SLC Love to 44321. Or you can go to our website, slcworld.org, click the Donate tab, and give by other ways, including by mail if you want to send a donation by check. Now, those who are here today, we invite you to take your gift and your love offering and symbolically raise it to the heavens or ever-expanding good, and know that you're engaged in this law of circulation, that whatever comes back to you to support you in ways that you never imagined. And so with that in mind, let's affirm our offertory blessing. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
I don't need to worry when I see the worlds that you have made, when I see creation of all of this beauty on display. I know that you love me, and how you kiss the flowers, even the birds the Father feeds. So I don't need to worry, because I know how much you care for me. I know that you love me. You never leave me, you never forsake me, and I will never be alone. You keep showing mercy, you're never withholding. A love like this I've never known. You love me.
I don't need to carry all of the weight of yesterday. Won't worry about tomorrow. It's covered by your faithfulness to me. I know that you love me.
You're never withholding. A love like this I've never known. You never leave me, you never forsake me, and I will never be alone. You keep showing mercy, and I
that you love me. I know that you love me.
All right, y'all did it again. They love you. That's why they do this. We do this. Well, we take this time to hold a high consciousness for those who have left prayers in the prayer box. And we bring the realization that the prayer is already answered on the physical and the spiritual plane. As we like to say before you call, the Spirit of God is already answered. For it only knows divine solutions and answers to prayers. And even if they're beyond our human understanding, we affirm and know and bring the mindset, it is already done. And we give thanks in advance for what Spirit has already completed for us. It applies to those who have left those prayers in the prayer box that will go on to Silent Unity for additional prayer, energy. And for all of us, in whatever area that we are seeking more expression of who and what we really are in this world. We also bless the offerings and the gifts that have been given today, knowing that they not only support this community and those that receive the benefit of the community giving partnership that we heard about earlier, but also will come back to the givers as well, perhaps in ways that were not understood or even expected, but does come back. So we're grateful to be here to express more and more of who and what we are and what we've come here to be. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. And now let us join in as we affirm our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, I am, and all is well. And with that, let's join in as we sing our peace song.